And in this healing journey, I had to really take a step back. And, you know, for a while, I was bedbound. I was like 26. I couldn't walk. I was working from my bed. I was newly married and,
Wow.
you know, was like, I don't know what to do. I've seen so many doctors. And I think for me, the biggest thing was my ego. I was just, you know, I can't produce. I can't cook. I can't clean. I can't do anything for this new husband. I'm just sitting here. You know, my job, they wanted me to travel a lot. I couldn't even walk to my mailbox.
Right.
The biggest part of my like facing my own shit was understanding that there's a lot more to me than what I can do and what I can produce for people. And that took me many years of just struggling internally. Like, I'm worthy for who I am as a human and not what I can do. And that was the biggest lesson. And it was many, many years of work, you know, therapy, internal family systems, EMDR, like all of these limbic system healing, and really just doing internal work and shadow work and figuring out where that's coming from. But for me, just realizing being sick gave me the space to work through that so that I wasn't just one of these like corporate, how much can I get done? I have no life. I have no personality. And so it was a beautiful lesson. It was very painful to go through at the time, but I feel like now that I'm better, I'm so grateful to have that because I feel so rooted in, you know, who I am as a person is what's valuable and not what I can do.
Okay, so quick confession. You might notice my audio sounds like I'm broadcasting from a tin can. That's on me. Wrong mic, right intentions, and it's all part of today's fabulously fucked up, real and raw episode. So enjoy the charm. Before we get into it, I also want to give a huge thank you to Michelle Meacham of Historic Living, or Roost Realty, for taking my listener survey. Michelle, I see you. I appreciate you. And if you're dreaming about living beautifully in Savannah, look no further than livesavannah.com. Contact Michelle or find her on Instagram at liveinsavannah. All of this is in the show notes. And to everyone listening, if you love this show, want to support it, and help shape where it goes next, please take the listener survey. It's short, it matters, it really helps me. And your feedback genuinely makes the podcast even more aligned, useful, and impactful. And I read every single response. Today, I'm joined by Allie Chandler, founder of Upsell Health. One of the sharpest minds I know at the intersection of healing and marketing. Allie helps holistic and functional medicine practitioners, as well as wellness brands, grow without selling their soul. Translating deep transformative work into messaging that actually connects and converts. We talk about empathy-led marketing, the courage to be disliked, and what it really means to sell from integrity, especially when your work is about healing and not scaling numbers. Also, completely unrelated, but if you can get it, buy silver. I said what I said. Let's dive in.
It's not very often that I have people on that are talking about the business of the whole wellness world and like what that really entails. So it's a conversation that I feel like in a field most people get into because they've been through some kind of traumatic or chronic disease themselves.
Yeah.
But the business side of it is a whole other beast and honestly fascinating to me.
Yeah. I know it's interesting having had the background in my own healing journey and then coming into it, just like putting the marketing lens on it. It's been interesting because I think the way that I approach it is different because of my healing experience. But I think everyone's always looking for marketing advice. How do I grow? How do I create something that's empathy led, authentic, genuine, and not, I feel like there's so much AI now. So it's just figuring out how to still market and grow while being who you are and not having to feel like you're not in alignment with yourself. So it's my favorite part about working with people.
Totally. And before Odd Spell Hell existed, there was you, there's your story, there was POTS, mold toxicity, complete kind of life breakdown of relationship, identity rupture. So, as you know, on this show, we talk about those kind of face your shit moments.
For sure.
Where was that point for you?
Yeah, so a really brief summary. I actually used to teach creative writing. That's my background. And I decided I wasn't feeling like it was the right path for me. I wanted something that I could own and have more creativity, didn't have to follow a curriculum. So I ended up quitting that job and going and backpacking in Europe for a whole summer. And I found out years later, I got sick there, very sick. Found out years later it was Lyme, but it took me this whole journey of pretty much overnight getting really sick, neurological symptoms, heart stuff, digestive stuff, a lot of like weird emotional things that I had never experienced. And so that is what kind of got me into the path where I am now, where I work in marketing and I help practitioners and functional medicine brands grow and scale. But my own journey is such an integral part of that, and learning like there are all of these non-conventional ways to heal. And I had gone back from Europe and was trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And of course, went to the ER because I was in really rough shape. And they were like, well, we don't really know. We'll just put you on antibiotics and steroids. And they gave me probably 5 different things. And like, my body was so weak at that point that it crashed me even more. And I just was like, I can't finish this course. Like I felt like I was dying. And so my journey, I guess, like to face all of this, it was a couple of years of just like doctor, like I'm not getting anywhere. And the biggest thing that I came across was I have a background of being so focused on achievement. That's how I found my worth. What can I do? What can I do for others? How many things can I accomplish? And in this healing journey, I had to really take a step back. And, you know, for a while, I was bedbound. I was like 26. I couldn't walk. I was working from my bed. I was newly married and was like, I don't know what to do. I've seen so many doctors. And I think for me, the biggest thing was my ego. I was just, you know, I can't produce, I can't cook, I can't clean, I can't do anything for this new husband. I'm just sitting here, you know, my job, they wanted me to travel a lot. I couldn't even walk to my mailbox.
Right.
The biggest part of my like facing my own shit was understanding that there's a lot more to me than what I can do and what I can produce for people. And that took me many years of just struggling internally, like, I'm worthy for who I am as a human and not what I can do. And that was the biggest lesson. And it was many, many years of work, you know, therapy, internal family systems, EMDR, like all of these limbic system healing, and really just doing internal work and shadow work and figuring out where that's coming from. But for me, just realizing being sick gave me the space to work through that, so that I wasn't just one of these like corporate, how much can I get done? I have no life. I have no personality. And so it was a beautiful lesson. It was very painful to go through at the time, but I feel like now that I'm better, I'm so grateful to have that, because I feel so rooted in who I am as a person is what's valuable and not what I can do.
Thank you, first of all, for saying that. So necessary today to have this just fact reinforced, because it isn't, we are inherently worthy. It is only to a persona that we create or some kind of mask that we ever have to prove or do anything. Yeah. You know, and that's it's more revealing of the lack of spiritual understanding, which that could be a whole other episode. Totally. You know what I mean? Like, why why is expected to, you're valued for what you do or for what you produce instead of who you are, and realizing that you are inherently worth comes with understanding that you are everything, comes with understanding that you're source, that so is everyone else, that you are individual, which used to mean indivisible from the whole, completely changed where now that means something completely separate.
Yeah.
And it's such a huge part of healing and awakening is that level of acceptance.
Totally. Yeah. And I think the biggest shift for me, because I'm very type A, I always have been. I was the kid that was like, if I got an A minus in school, I was really disappointed in myself. Everything had to be perfect. I played volleyball competitively and we would make it to states every single year. And I was like, man, we got second place. And I would think about it for months after. So I've always been really hard on myself. And I think a big shift in my healing came when I'm good at intellectualizing healing. I can do all the research. I can watch all the summits, all the podcasts. I can figure out protocols, but I didn't really see progress in doing some of these protocols because I was just running through the motions of it. I wasn't connected to my internal world at all. I wasn't really like checking in with my body. And so one thing I've learned is that instead of treating this illness like it's another problem to solve, another thing that I need to check off, like I need to get better so that I can do all these things for everyone else, I learned to listen to what my body was trying to tell me. And that takes a lot of like processing and work and like quiet and really understanding yourself and your internal world. But I think not intellectualizing, because everyone at some point can figure out, I probably have these root causes. I got bit by a tick or this building is moldy. It's not too hard to figure out what your root causes are, but I think the hard part is getting your spiritual world, getting your emotional world, your mental all in line with healing. And that's something that took me many years, like I said, of just working through it and not just check, like I did all my supplements today, I did all my detox tools, but it really was like the quiet moments at night where I had the time and the space to really be like, what do I need? What does my inner child need? What does my body need to hear from me? And a lot of those affirmations of this is not going to be my life. We're not sick. We're not stuck in this victim loop of, wow, poor me. I'm 26 and I'm not walking and all my friends are getting promotions and going on vacations and everything. It was really just like, what do I need to heal and turning internally? And I think that's been really helpful.
Yeah. And it's something you said really when you're talking about spending all that time with yourself, it's like you're alone, but you're not lonely, right? When you're doing that kind of work. But what becomes lonely is doing that in a world of people that don't feel that hard. So living behind the mask or the personas, you can be surrounded by people and be completely alone where you're seeing the same thing in front of you, right? Like the trees and the clouds and the deck and the house.
Yeah.
With different eyes, right? With totally different eyes. Like, who do I have to be in, or what do I have to do in this conversation or this situation to like appear cool or make everyone calm or happy or all of that? Like when you start spending time with your inner child and the deeper parts of yourself that have been fragmented because of the persona we create, it's like that wholeness starts to really fill a void.
Yeah,
I think.
Definitely. Yeah. And one of the things I've always said in the healing journey is even if I've been surrounded by people, I have felt so lonely and so isolated because how do you explain how going through something that traumatic has affected you? I feel like I ended up having to get divorced because of all of this illness and was living in California we were together for 8 or 9 years, but ended up getting divorced because of it and moved back to Michigan. And I just was like, I didn't even tell my close friends I was sick. I didn't really tell anyone. I just went into this little cocoon and was like, this is so crazy, the symptoms I'm having and like how I feel. I can't even explain it to anyone, nor do I have the energy to explain to anyone. But, and then transitioning, I started to feel better, and EMDR was really huge for me. But as I started working through that inner stuff, I did notice that, I'm pretty open and vulnerable, especially on social media. I don't mind talking about things that don't portray me in this perfect highlight reel life. Like, I'm happy to talk about my struggles and what I've learned, and going to therapies and working through that has helped me to be open about it. But I have learned that even further isolates me, because it's almost like it makes people who aren't ready to do that work feel called out. And then like, I'll have friends where I'm sharing things. It's nothing about them. It's all, hey, here's my story, here's my journey. And I'll notice they'll pull away, or there'll be like some kind of big blow up where I'm like, where did that come from? I'm just trying to live this authentic life. And it's not like you have to meet me exactly there. I'm just trying to be open about it. And so there is a lot of isolation and loneliness in being sick, but also in healing, because, people who aren't ready to go there with you feel almost repelled by you. I don't know if you've experienced that or if you have any thoughts on that.
Hell yes, I do.
Yeah.
I totally relate to that.
Yeah.
There are people that are upset that I even created this very podcast.
That's
that I feel it's sad to me. I used to get really pissed off. And it is right, but it's really sad when you think about it, because that's how small and scared you are inside.
Yeah.
It's so revealing of the kind of life that you must live, that you are actually threatened by something that is going to heal you, change your state of being, which told me you're either already getting, well, you always are getting something out of what you're doing, whether you believe it, whether you see it, or whether you don't see it, whether that's sympathy, whether that's like friends, or whether that's like you just getting to be a victim, right? There's all these hidden beliefs too. Or it's like, you're scared. You're just, which is a lot of the time.
Right.
And I had to ask myself, I'm not on any kind of pedestal, but I searched for almost 20 years. And looking back now, after healing, I asked myself at a certain point, when people were talking about holistic treatments and eliminating sugar and changing your diet and all this, and I was trying out birth control and trying out different Western treatments. And of course, I educate myself and was starting on that path. But I was like, why do you think, Meredith, that other people saw, right? Other people saw these avenues to go down, or saw treatments, or had advice for me. But I didn't see, because the answer to that question for everyone is what is revealed. It reveals what is controlling your life when you know the answer to that. Like, when you know that, it's, oh shit, fear? Because I'm too scared. That's why I title the show. It's literally just so much healing is accomplished through just acknowledging the truth.
Right.
Just like you said, it's like just that is part of the healing process, which is why people don't want to do it, because it would mean they're wrong. They can't handle that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I feel like that was a huge component to the healing, and also learning to be okay with the people that push me away because of it. And I've always been such a people pleaser and so concerned with, I want everyone to like me. I'm an Enneagram 2. I'm very like relationship driven and in my DNA. And so that again was a big part of it. I had a mentor. So I was head of marketing and events at Microbiome Labs, which is Megaspore Biotic. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it, but I had a mentor when I took this VP role who was like, you have to be okay with people not liking you. In
Yeah.
work, in healing, in anywhere in your life, you cannot let that concern keep you from doing what you're meant to be doing. Because I was speaking up about some things in the workplace, but that lesson has stuck out to me a lot and applying it to healing too. Because even if you're going against conventional norms and speaking out about it, people aren't going to like it. You're going to have polarity and you're going to probably lose friends, but the people that you're attracting and what you're like magnetizing back to you, it's such a better fit for you to have people who are on that same frequency and on that same level. And so getting that lesson too of it's almost like you're not doing enough if people aren't annoyed by what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like if you're not making waves, then are you even like having a stance on anything? And I think that's important too.
100%. You don't have a point of view. Everyone likes you and everyone's agreeing and everyone's like, yeah, you probably aren't saying very much.
Right.
It's just the nature, exactly like you said. And it's something not talked about enough. And of course, it's not to villainize people that like us, or everyone has the right not to like you, because it's like we can get in that slippery slope of perpetrator, victim, rescuer, and that's the drama triangle. When you make someone the villain, then you're the victim. And it's like they're just where they're at. I'm not saying it's accessible and condoning like disrespectful behavior and not all that crap, but that's just where they're at. And yeah, it is sad, but it's like their soul knows what's best for them. They're a big boy or big girl, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of it too is having the trust that you will find your people. Like you'll find the right place to heal. You'll find the right groups. And so one of the things when I moved back to Michigan after my divorce is I was, again, like we're talking about isolation and loneliness. I was so lonely. I remember there was a weekend I had no plans. I work remotely, so I could go all week without interacting with anyone. I do Instacart. I get my stuff delivered because I'm so busy. And there was a weekend where I was like, I haven't left my house in probably 9 or 10 days. I have no plans this weekend. So I decided to do this like nostalgic, let's go back to childhood. Let's get some play. So I went to Hobby Lobby or Michael's, I can't remember, but got some clay. I got some like watercolor. I made grilled cheese and tomato soup. I like did the little butterfly clips. Like I just went and did this like nostalgic little weekend alone. But even reflecting back on it, I was like, I don't want this to be my life. That was great and that was fun. And I'm sure my inner child like loved it and being like playtime. But out of that, I had decided to make a post on those neighborhood informed groups on like Facebook. They're usually huge. So I got on my local one and was like, how do you guys make friends as adults? I'm struggling. I used to live here. I don't know what I'm doing. Like I love having themed parties. I love investing in people, but I just feel like in my 30s, everyone here, all my friends were married, had young kids, didn't have time. So part of my healing journey was being okay to be vulnerable enough to be like, hey, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I want friends. Like, obviously that's probably embarrassing to some people to be that genuine and authentic and like, hey, like, I don't have anyone to hang out with. But out of that and out of that risk and authenticity, I actually created a local social group and we have 18,000 people in a year and a half. So I'm like, I can't be the only one who was looking for community. Yeah. And last night I actually had an event, a millennial co-ed event. We had 130 people at it last night. So it's just like, that was a big part of my journey is losing friends. But then also I feel like you're almost always rewarded if you're genuine and vulnerable and if it comes from the right place. Because I think a lot of times even I struggle with, am I doing this for attention? Am I doing this for sympathy? Or do I really want something out of it that's going to make me a better person? And so now I have this amazing community. I have my birthday's in 5 days. I have 6 different friend groups who are planning something for me. And this was not something 2 years ago. I would have been alone. I would have had no plans. I would have had nothing to do. And so I think having community and not giving into that isolation and like getting in that poor me attitude. I think taking control of your situation and not just for community, but what do you want out of life and how can you go get it? And then for
Yeah.
me, it was like, I want solid friends. I want people every summer where it's like, we're going to go on boat trips. We have barbecues. We have, weekly meetups. And so I think vulnerability and kind of self-awareness can be really beautiful in that way because you just never know what you can create out of it.
Yeah. Telling the truth. This is telling the truth. And that's what I say. It's like, I obviously don't have as much of a background in marketing as you, but I had somewhat of a background in marketing. And I remember this quote and I would always say it. I don't know who said it first, but it was the best marketing strategy is just telling the truth. Telling the truth. Like the more clear you get, it's like the more, like you said, you're going to, yes, you will repel, people will fall away, and then your quality people will show up. And I would rather be surrounded by like 3 to 5 quality people, and this is just me, than 10,000 acquaintances that like, yeah, hell yeah, let's party, let's have a good time. Nothing wrong with that. But who are you going to call when shit hits the fan?
Right.
Probably not any of the 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. Your birthday's in 5 days. You're a Cassie.
Yeah. Yeah. On the cusp too, the 20th. So it's like a little bit of Aquarius influence, I think. But yeah, it's fun.
We're having our collab on because I'm Aquarius. I'm at the end of January.
Nice. I love it. That's amazing. I can tell with Aquarians.
Yeah.
Usually.
Well, I have a Capricorn stellium. So I have a lot of Capricorn traits because I have a lot of things there. And I love getting shit done.
Same.
Right? Like, I love it. I love it. I have learned to balance that out. Like the whole conversation we just had about fucking, you're not just what you do. But yeah, that's been, there's an art. There's an art to that. Like having, it doesn't mean just abandon responsibilities and fuck it, I am this way.
Yeah.
No, that's not, then you don't get it. So it's like holding both, being big enough as a person to hold both sides. Yeah. To be disciplined and to be free, to take care of responsibility and just be playful and have fun.
Yeah, it's so true. And that's funny. I actually just got back from San Diego. I was telling you, I had a client who's opening a biohacking clinic. And our marketing ops guy was like, you are just full of dualities. He's like, you are a very interesting person because he's like on Slack, I just met some of them for the first time in person. You're all business. You get stuff done. You're messaging, you're turning stuff in. And he's like, and then I meet you in person and you're this like hippie, like free spirited. He's like, you're really like soft spoken. Not that I'm afraid to speak up, but like I am a bit quieter. I'm not like a loud person. And so he was like, you are just a fascinating human. There's so much of both in you. And I'm like, that's intentional. That was work to get there and to be able to have a balance of the masculine and feminine. That's something else I really love. Like in my relationship with my boyfriend, I love being in my feminine energy. I love like letting him lead and letting him, he knows what I like. So it's not like he's ever making decisions without knowing that, or he might ask for my input, but I'm so exhausted with my client work and with the high level strategy and marketing I'm doing every day. I'm so in my masculine energy at work. And so I think that's what he was noticing is like the masculine side of work. But then when I'm off work, I just want to be playful and just have that duality. So that's interesting that you say that because I think it is something that's learned. Like you don't have to be in this one personality all the time. You can switch. It's almost like code switching. Like you can, depending on the situation and like the safety that you feel and whatever you have to get done, you can switch between those energies and those dualities and polarities. So it's fun to see. And I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Not up because somebody just said that to me the other day.
Yeah. Oh, it's a whole obviously hot topic of conversation right now. And it's so important. And I have so many things to say about this. This could be a whole other episode.
Yeah.
But it's so necessary and healing to embrace both. You're not just one, and it's not, I think people collapse it a lot of times with like being a woman or being a man. No, everyone has both energies, their polarities, and it's like they're one. So like, the deeper you get into the feminine, you find the masculine. The deeper you get into the masculine, you find the feminine. Because they're like they're one, but you can see different sides of the spectrum, and you can see all in between. And that I don't think people make the connection enough, and they use it to divide a lot, which is like so not the point. It's like it's meant like how you're saying to unite relationships, creating with other people, like but within yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting, even personality wise, as I heal, there was a long time when I was sick where I just felt like I wasn't myself at all. And I didn't really know how to like fix that. I just was like, this isn't me. I'm super outgoing. Like in high school and college, I always was the person who knew everyone. Like I was such a social butterfly, and all my friends would joke around about it. And I actually got in a fight with my college roommate of 4 years because she was like, you spend so much time trying to like talk to everyone. Where are your couple friends that you're investing in? But that's just how I was. Like I love social. And then when I was sick, again, going back to all of the isolation and everything, I was like, I feel like a part of me is just not alive right now. And so that, in healing and reclaiming the personality that is like innate inside of me, and it just feels right to be this way. It's been really cool to see that and see, that connection, like you were saying with marketing, just telling the truth, even like me healing in my personality, I think comes across in the work that I do. And we had a conversation because I call what the marketing I do empathy led. I call it, I don't know if anyone uses that term or not, but I actually think it's really important to understand your avatar and to know, like, you're speaking to a human in your marketing. Do you know their name? Do you know their demographic and psychographics? Do you know what are they up Googling at 3 a.m.? You can't just like, throw out marketing to a broad and general audience without this deep dive on your avatar and on the empathy side of it, understanding what is that person's pain point and how am I coming into their space and how am I helping them? Because I think there's a lot of marketing out there that's very direct sales, and it's very, to me, feels used car salesman, like in your face. There's a lot of false urgency. Like your coupon's not really expiring in 2 days. You're going to leave it up for, it doesn't actually change the price ever. And so that's like that I can do my job and still be in alignment with my own morals and ethics by marketing in that way. I actually lost a client because he wanted me to do direct sales marketing. He's like, we need to sell this many supplements. We need to like make up prices, make up deadlines. And I was like, I can't feel good about that. I'm not your person. And I can do it. I have the skill set to do it. But, I guess going from healing myself physically, how do I pull that into the work side and still feel in alignment and still feel like I'm supporting my own morals and ethics in marketing? Because marketing can be an unethical space. And I'm very careful when I work with clients to be like, okay, like this is the type of marketing I do. It's value driven. We're going to provide education. We're going to provide them with so much free content and then build trust. And I think that's what sells, is if someone trusts you and they feel like you're not just like pushing a sale at them when they're really sick and they're like me, they're bedbound. They don't want someone speaking to them with fear. They're already afraid enough. Their nervous systems are so dysregulated that they want that like softer education forward piece. So it's been interesting to see like how my own healing has changed my marketing and my work that I do too.
Yeah, that's actually the first thing that struck me when I saw your website and a little bit about your story. And it was almost like, and I so love the avatar piece. And like, I need to do this quiz. I'm like, there's a quiz, the archetype. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, this it is. And I was wondering what that is in the background. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
There's a patient and practitioner one now. So there's some cool stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree. Just knowing like your avatar and who you are as a marketer.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's why I love your brand is because you're like the title of your podcast too. Like you're going to attract the people that you want to attract. And I just love what you're doing. So,
Well, listen, it is a living document. It is a work in progress.
So, if you need a visual break, I want to talk about today's sponsors. Oh, by the way, it's me. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I created this show. I created this show because I have lived it. I faced my shit and healed myself by unraveling all of the medical and pharmaceutical lies I had been told about my endometriosis and was able to heal myself after 17 years of debilitating pain. My experience inspired me to literally live my art. So not only did I create this podcast you're listening to right now, I first created an ongoing art series about it called Every Phase. All of the artwork you see in my clips and within this episode is from my Every Phase series, which will span for 13 years. The pieces illustrate how I healed myself as I live by the phases of the female hormonal cycle. So the artwork shows what's happening in the brain and the body during each phase and reveals how to biohack and leverage this energy in your life. Illusion is the undercover agent of truth, one that's meant to be unmasked. Truth dances through our lives, role-playing as archetypes or beliefs or language, or anything we can mentally construct or make up that leads us to something more, something bigger. The truth wants to be found, but first it wants you to enjoy the show. Each untruth, lie, or illusion actually works in favor of truth, like supporting characters on the world stage. The greater the contrast, the clearer we can see. But when we stop looking, when we forget that we can't recognize what we truly want without first experiencing the unwanted, that's when we get lost in illusion. We become rigid, immovable. And this piece lives in the late luteal phase, where illusion collapses and truth sharpens, where we either become the ripple that makes the wave, the title of this piece, or the brick of illusion, racking up debt as we try to numb what's asking to be seen. And that's exactly what this conversation with Allie is about. Truth-telling, empathy-led marketing, and the courage to be disliked in a world addicted to performance. And if this piece speaks to you, if you feel that late luteal, I'm about to start my period, truth stirring, it is available to collect. You'll find it linked in the show notes, or you can reach out directly to me to make this limited edition yours.
And yeah, Allie and I were talking earlier on the show, and I was like, holy shit, like you've got it going on. Marketing, I've done, just full disclosure, so much of what you've talked about that doesn't want, that does not want, just so, and there's the term, even though I don't like it, like I get it for stereotypical purposes, the bro marketing.
yeah.
You know, like, right, where it's just people, and unfortunately, most of us women too, but a lot of times it's males, and I had a mentor like this, right, that's just obsessed with posting. But it's like the posting, and I did a whole episode, I left social media, why I left social media.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're just training yourself not only to be like what I consider a digital kind of lurker, like a voyeur to other people's lives.
Yeah.
But if it's not working, and I'm not saying that for everyone, but like for me, and like probably what you were saying a little bit about my brand, how it's fun and playful. I don't take myself too seriously, but then I hold the duality and the contrast of being deeply, deeply in integrity, and I talk about really long form concepts. So like it just was never, and my art pieces are, I embedded my own process. So like all that to say, it didn't lend itself really, and it never did, to short form. My content marketing, I'd constantly be trying to think in terms of memes and reels, and nothing would ever work because I'm sitting there trying to fit myself into a frame and that was never really made for me, because there's this myth that's like, you have to be, no one's going to see your stuff if you're not on social media. And I didn't even realize how much I had a hidden belief that like I didn't say it was this default thing of doing social media because it's what's accepted. But I'm like, listen, Kate, there's millionaires that don't have Instagram.
Right.
Like,
No, that
it's just right. What are your thoughts on that? This whole social media thing?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I think there's going to be sort of a revolution more so than there even is currently of people who are leaving those conventional channels. I really think people are getting tired of the highlight reel. And like for me, most of my friends are still posting, we're on vacation, I got a promotion, here's my baby, and it's happy. And I'm so thrilled for them. And I love posts like that. I'm such a hype girl. I'm like, yes, yes. Like I'll always be the first to comment. But what I love is when people can infuse some of that, like you said, integrity, that authenticity, the like struggle. I feel like we need to share the struggle more because I had talked about body image issues. I made a whole post on my Facebook and I was really sick. I lost a ton of weight. I've gained weight. I've had a lot of different things happen with my body. And the last couple years since I've been healthy, I've been lifting a ton. And so I made this post where I was like, I'm really proud of myself. Like I had built my legs. They were such little, when I was sick and not eating, they were like these little tiny like sticks. And so I made this post on body image. And I had this guy I went to college with comment and he was like, you're just like obsessed with yourself. Why are you posting selfies? Why are you doing this? And I was like, I couldn't walk for almost 3 years. If you imagine how much muscle I lost because of that. And now like me sharing these like workout posts and this is what I've done. I've rebuilt my body. I've fed myself properly. I've spent the time in the gym. I've been healthy enough to do it. And I got 99 positive messages back. But then it's like having that one person who's just not getting the journey, not getting it. Sometimes to me, social media can feel really toxic. So I don't think it's something that everyone needs in order to get their marketing out there and get discovered. And that's something I talk about with people I work with or the archetypes is it's all tailored to you and everyone's so individual. And yes, like there's 15 archetypes. So like it's a little bit more compartmentalized in that way. But even within those, like you're still an individual person with a really unique story. And like whatever you're trying to do with your brand, I feel like there's no formula that you can follow that's going to be right for everyone. So you're like one of the few people I know that's not like, oh, well, this mastermind told me I have to, post 5 days a week and I have to do this and I have to create a book. Like that's a big thing now is everyone's like, I need 3 books on Amazon, which is great. Books are great, but it's not like there's not one solution for everyone. So I love that you've been off social media. That podcast episode's really good, by the way. Everyone should listen to it. But like, how have you felt like you've gotten like the word out there? I know you're doing your podcast, but there's so many other ways I'm sure that you're growing, right? Without just potential.
Yeah, well, I'm still in the brainstorming phase, but I knew where I wanted to be, where it was easy for me to be, like YouTube, like podcasts, which I don't even consider YouTube like social media, but all of my stuff lends itself more to everything long form. So there's YouTube, there's Substack, which I love, Substack. And there's so much of my writing because all of my everyday features have poetry or writing that go with them. So it really goes nicely together. And then, this podcast, I'm still formulating the funnel, like the email, the evergreen series, and like more of this kind of organic system that works with deeper connections and isn't just, people that are interested that are already saying, I'm interested in learning about holistic healing and art as medicine, the period of superpower and all of that. Speaking to directly to them, more aligned people rather than just like, shouting this shit out. And I get likes from my friends and whatever. And then on top of that, it's not, I love YouTube because it's evergreen. So you don't really get more mileage out of what you're doing. Like you could have an old video that you tweak or something that could get a lot of engagement because it doesn't go away. Like Instagram and Facebook, everything's dead. People don't understand that. Everything's dead after like 48 hours.
Totally. Yeah. It's a lot
Yeah.
of work to just create something that in a day nobody's probably ever going to see again. That's actually the
Yeah.
cool thing. I have a client, we're trying to grow his YouTube right now, and there was a video we must have posted like 7-8 months ago that just suddenly went viral on YouTube. And we were like,
Wow.
interesting. Like, you know,
Yeah.
we had like thousands and 100,000, I think, plus views. And so we were trying to figure out, like, is it the content? Did we do a good job on the SEO? Regardless, I do
Yeah.
think, you know, the long form content, this is an unpopular opinion, but I do think that people are like, we're going to have a flip of everything that we're seeing in marketing now. Cause you know how everything went to short, like short
Yeah.
reel, short clip. People
Yeah.
can't even watch a 3-minute reel now. They can't. They scroll past it.
Yeah.
And so my prediction, because podcasts are still so popular, they never like dipped in viewership in general. But I think what's going to happen is with the advent of AI and how everyone's overusing it for everything. And I'm not against AI at all. Like I'm pro AI if you're using it the right way. You know, there's certain like tenets I think that are important to remember when you're using it. But because everything is sounding so similar now, like I can look at a post and immediately everyone can tell, oh, it's this sentence structure and it's like these words. And so I think what's going to happen is people are going to get really tired of that. And then we're going to go back into this journey of this like longer form content that's real and genuine and story driven. Like all of the YouTube videos, the podcasts, the stories, like all of that, I think people are going to somehow like rebel against this like shorter clips because we can't go shorter than we are now. People can't even watch 30 seconds. It's always scroll, scroll, scroll. And like that cannot be good for our brains. So what I'm hoping happens is in the next year or two, we move a little bit away from using AI to create all of our storylines and more into some of this authentic storytelling, whether that's like voice memos. Like I would love to create an Instagram broadcast that's just voice memos. You know, it's like new and different, and you're hearing, you know, the tone of my voice, and it's not just AI text that I'm like pasting and having a VA like, hey, chat GPT this and make these posts for me. I think there's going to be a revolution of authenticity and like demanding that in the next couple of years. That's my prediction. We'll see what happens. But I feel tired of seeing all the AI stuff. Like I think artists, creatives are going to kind of come back, and like you can't replace an artist. You can't replace like, you know, a writer who's actually genuinely forming the words themselves, or like a painter. AI can create images. Of course, we've all seen it, but like a fine artist, like you can't, there's no way to replace that. So I think the people that are afraid of AI taking over their jobs, I'm not worried about that as a writer, because I feel like I see the work that people are putting out there, and I know I can do so much more to connect with people in just sitting down and like taking the time to write.
Yeah. And it did like, there's studies that it's done this short form content. And again, I'm not saying, oh, short form and like just delete everything. I'm saying like this overabundance where it's like people are consuming causes a certain level of brain damage. There's always even studies on it. So I like couldn't continue on just in integrity, just knowing that. Just knowing that. And I feel like a lot of people know that, and they're like, kids do that, and they're like repelled by this kind of like what we're calling now traditional marketing.
Right.
But they don't know how to leave. They don't know they want to share meaningful work. Where would you invite them to start?
I want to take this time to thank you for having the bravery to face your shit and heal yourself by listening to this show. Because this is more than just a podcast. This is a movement, and a necessary one if you've looked around at the world today. If you want to live the movement, or you want to go deeper into your healing journey, I've pulled together everything I wish that I would have had. So practical tools, longevity and biohacking resources, insights, pain relief tips, healing practices, all the things most doctors won't tell you about, into one beautifully designed free ebook. Inside, you'll learn how to work with your cycle or with your body instead of fighting against it, what the mainstream gets wrong about PMS, endometriosis, and hormonal health, why pain is a messenger, not a malfunction, plus curated direct links with all of the juicy, golden episodes that started it all. Whether you're navigating chronic illness, endometriosis, burnout, or hormonal chaos, this free guide will help you start reclaiming your power, your body, and your truth. Download it instantly when you subscribe to my Substack newsletter, where I share raw stories, healing artwork, and I write a badass email.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, honestly, is just finding the channel that feels like the best fit for you. Because like for you saying YouTube or like Substack, which I haven't explored yet, but I need to because I keep hearing everyone's loving Substack. But I think for a lot of people, it's checking in with yourself and having that conversation internally of like, are you doing something that feels exhausting to you in your marketing? Are you sitting down and being like, oh, I have to script out some reels, I'm dreading it? Think about what's feeling like good and what are you excited to do? And just follow that, because I feel like it's less about what is everyone saying you should do and more about what's genuine, authentic to you and your strengths and what you enjoy, because people are going to feel that. If I put out 10 reels that I absolutely hated doing and it took me like 3 months of just dragging my feet to record them, I feel like that energy comes through. I'm such a big energy person. And so I think like your mood and like how you feel about it when you sit down to record, people can feel that, especially people who are sensitive to energies, like I'm sure we both are. You can just like, I don't know, it's like, I don't want to watch this because I can tell that you didn't enjoy it. So find the things that you really love and enjoy. And then I think that the second piece of that is, you know, being upfront about like struggles and what you've learned. I think that's going to be a big newer part of marketing, is that I keep saying I'm talking so much about vulnerability, but I think that piece where people aren't afraid to tell their story. I work almost all with practitioners who a lot of them have healing stories, and a lot of them got into it because they were sick themselves, but they feel like they can't tell people that because it makes them look like they don't know what they're doing. And I'm like, it's the opposite. Like you would share your story. There's so much trust in that. There's so much like wisdom and beauty and the fact that you've been where your patients are. So I think a lot of it is just reframing like weakness. What actually is weakness? What's our superpower? Like you were kind of talking about. And I don't think that it's being sick. It's not a weakness. That's actually a great strength of many people to have healed and to have figured out what works. And especially for practitioners, but for anyone in any field, you can share your story as part of your marketing. And I think that's what people are craving. And I think that's also why this group that I made just blew up, because people genuinely want connection and they want someone to see them and to understand them. And it's getting away from this like interaction within the app. And that was surprising to me because, you know, we have a component of the group that is chats. And then of course we have the in-person events, and people all just want to meet in person. It's like we're going back to like early 2000s, which was my favorite time of my whole life. Like I'd love to go back to Zanga. I was such a Zanga girl. Like I blogged on my Zanga. I got on AIM. Like I put my little messages up, you know, and like we had no social media when I was in high school, and I loved it. I can't imagine being a kid growing up now and having all that social media and having the dumb stuff you do be forever memorialized. I just, So my whole like goal and hope for marketing and just like in general, our collective as a humanity is to think about like, how do we move back to that era before social media? And how do we connect in some of those ways that we used to write letters to each other in high school, the little paper football letters, and So part of me too is thinking like, what if I started a physical newsletter and had people sign up and I mail them a letter every month, and maybe they pay like a subscription just to cover the stamp, right? I can't obviously go broke in mailing all these things out, but I think like for me, this whole year is going to be, how do we get back to that pre-social media era? And just, I feel like it's a very nostalgic time and people are craving that simplicity and connection. So that's kind of where I'm hoping to move marketing, is like less of the progressive AI, more of let's like focus on genuine connection and like we used to with no distraction.
Yeah. As digital becomes more and more mainstream, I remember this in photography. I think in my own practice and how pissed I was because I'm like learned in the dark room, super analog, like old old like printing with the sun and the light and shadow, and even cameraless, like building my own cameras. And I feel like as things become more digital, we're gonna see exactly what you said, a return to analog.
Yes.
Kind of on the pedestal print. It's gonna become, because it's more exclusive, it's going to become valued more, because the digital is just it's going to become so cheap. Like with all of this kind of cheap talk or chat and all of that, I absolutely agree that's where it's going. And especially in art too. Like I don't even got it even a threat, chat GPT for artists, because I think people are going to value real creative work even more.
Agreed.
Which,
which it's totally the position of like what like AI can do, and then it makes it look even more beautiful because it's so different. Such a
which leads us to our signature biohacking with art finale question. Are you ready?
Yes.
She's ready. She's got the archetype bright green and pink, which I love in the background. Holy shit. Oh my God. Perfect. That if you, Allie, could describe the impact and identity of Upsell Health as an art piece, how would you create it? And what would you want someone to feel standing in front of it?
I love this question. So I was thinking it would be so nice to create something recycled, because I feel like that's been a big part of my story, is like, how do I use what I have around and what I have internally to create into something better? And what I was thinking, I probably would have the main piece be a big mirror. I need a giant mirror in my house anyway, like a floor length mirror. I think what I would do, I'm a big gardener, so I have like tons of plants always. Like I grow vegetables and fruits and flowers, everything. And so not only do I have that in my backyard, but I have a bunch of pots everywhere. And so over the winter, I forgot to bring all of my pots in. And in some storms, a lot of them have broken and shattered. They're beautiful because I love color, obviously. I'm like a big, crazy color girl. So there's turquoises and like bright greens and all these bright, beautiful colors. And I was thinking I could have it be a mirror and have it be like this mosaic of all these broken pieces that happen in this storm, because that's such a metaphor for what I've been through. Like, how do I create something beautiful out of probably a pretty rough life? It was 10 years of being sick, you know? And how do I take those lessons and take those pieces? And obviously there's so much beauty in a garden. They served their purpose. But how do I make that into something that is beautiful and that is art? So I would make a little mosaic around the mirror, because then every time I looked in it, I could appreciate all of the pieces that it took me to get there. And so I think a lot of the work I do at Upsell Health is not me telling clients what to do. It's me asking people to self-reflect. And we've talked about that today. Like, what are those signals that feel the best for you? I don't have all the answers. I'm not going to come in and like boss you around and say, you have to do this, this, and this. So I think a lot of the work I do is let's create a safe space and a quiet place for you to reflect and tell me what feels good. And I can advise based on that. Of course, I can say like, maybe let's try this. But I think just inviting people to see the deeper parts of themselves in marketing and just as a human is really important to me. So I guess I'd want them to feel reflective and like they have a voice and they can speak up for themselves. Doing a lot of that like affirmation practice in the mirror is a big part of what I did when I was sick too. So I think there'd be a lot of that, like a lot of reflection, a lot of love, affirmation, mantras, and all of that.
That is incredible. I love the mirror. I love working with mirrors. And it's so synchronized and aligned that you said that. I knew you were a mirror. Just like I love it. I love mirrors too. And it's because clarity is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
It is.
Everything. So it's like that is part of the art piece, actually just being.
Yeah.
But it also is really functional. Reveals so much. I love doing mirror work. Like you said, it's actually so helpful for both women and men. But speaking as a woman, like that, we don't have external parts doing mirror work, right? With the whole vulva region, labia, all of that. Incredibly powerful. You want to really connect with who you are. Yeah. Look at who you are. Look at your actual, because
we don't
really, we don't even know the term for our own part.
Yeah.
Product design.
So true. It's so true. Or there's a lot of shame around the body too. And like breaking through that and not feeling ashamed of who you are and being able to look at all parts of you and fully accept yourself. That's years of work sometimes, but it's so rewarding.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. It has been so real chatting with you today. Tell us where people can connect with you, learn more, and of course, we'll list all of this in the show notes, but where can they connect with you best?
Yeah, I would say for what we talked about today, upsellhealth.com/brain. So if you want sort of like all my tools and advice that I use to heal just my mindset, if you're chronically ill and you're struggling, or even if you're an entrepreneur and you're like, I want to get to the next level, it's free. I just have a list of all the brain tap and the EFT and all of the therapy modalities that I use. So you can head there. And then if you are a practitioner listening, if you go to upsellhealth.com/archetype, that's this quiz Meredith was talking about, and you can figure out like who you are authentically as a practitioner, a clinician, and what does that do to your marketing. I'm actually coming out with a patient version soon in the next month or so. So hopefully by the time this is launched, there will be a patient version so you can figure out what's important to you as a person healing. If you're a data-driven researcher, who's the best practitioner for you to pair with? What brands speak to you? So I'll have a whole little ecosystem for everyone. But yeah, there's a couple of places you can go. Definitely check the show notes for the whole list. But yeah, it'll be really fun to use what I've learned in my healing and help other people elevate. So I can't wait for that.
Absolutely. And this is so much gold, you guys. Like seriously, you'll see Allie's website, you'll see this archetype quiz, and you'll read, and you will see.
It's been so fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And I hope everyone will be able to take away something from this fabulous conversation where we have reframed weakness, redefined marketing, told the truth, eliminated persona. And with that, I hope everyone is able to go out, face their shit, therefore healing themselves. And we will see you all. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
If you liked this episode, or if you think this show would be useful for someone else, the best way you can show your support is to share it on your social media outlets with family and friends, or leave a review on podchaser.com, comment on YouTube or Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening and for having the bravery to face your shit and heal yourself.